Good evening and welcome to this week's special presentation entitled Birds of a Feather Flock Together. My name is Glenn Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest, and it's truly my pleasure to give your presentation this week. I love simple ways of using the system, and this week will be simple. The title of this presentation is something every investor has heard. We will be looking at sector and industry analysis. How does a sector or industry rise? Well, the stocks within them are rising. Now, I know that we've done this in the past, but I went and I looked in the Views tab and typed in birds of a feather. I found a couple of things, but this is an excerpt from an essay that our founder, Dr. DeLito, wrote back in 2005. The exact date was 8/12 of 2005. The essay was entitled Industry Group and Business Sector RT Analysis. Want to improve your stock picking skills and get better at knowing when to buy or sell a stock? Then start using Industry Group and Business Sector RT Analysis. There's an old saying that, look at that, birds of a feather flock together. And so it is with stocks. Stocks of companies in the same business have similar characteristics and experience the same market forces as their direct competitors. Therefore, the prices of stocks in common industries or businesses tend to rise and fall together. Of course, some stocks will perform better than others, but logic says one should own stocks in rising industry groups and business sectors and sell those in falling industry groups and business sectors. This is extraordinarily easy to do with VectorVest since we rank every industry group and business sector by relative timing. All right, so as we do this, we're going to be looking at sector. I'm going to show you several ways for you to profit or benefit from this analysis. Sectors and industries are segments of the market, and you can drill down into specific stocks. We're going to start with a method known as the drill down method. I'm going to get into the software. We're going to go to the Viewers tab. From the Viewers tab, there's a lot of different things that we offer for you, but right now we're going to concentrate on the Sector Viewer and the Industry Viewer. I'm going to click on Sector Viewer. When we click on there, we can see that we track 41 sectors. I can see that the top sector right now is steel. Why? Well, there's an infrastructure bill out in our government right now, and steel and building is hot. Building is the number 3 sector. Steel is the number 1 sector. So it makes sense. But these are the fastest moving sectors. Now you'll see here that we have an RT ranking because when we look at sectors or industries, we sort by RT. So we bring to the forefront the fastest moving sectors or industries. So steel has got an RT of 1.44, which is higher than metal products and then higher than building. All three of these represent the idea of building. Nonetheless, thus, you can see why they are the top sectors. Now, I'm going to do the drill down method. Drilling down from the top sector, which is steel, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to view the industries in that business sector. I'm going to left click on that. In that sector, there's 2 industries, steel alloy and steel basic. Still, because these are industries, we're sorting by RT. So the fastest moving industry, steel alloy, is at the top of the list, not by much, just a little bit higher than steel basic. But something I want you to see in this analysis, notice that the earnings per share for steel alloy is negative, growing at a rate of 2% a year. Whereas steel basic, which is number 2 by RT, has got positive earnings and a better growth rate. We're going to take a look at both though. All right. To look at the stocks within steel alloy, we're going to right click and we're going to view the stocks in the industry group. Let's go take a look at these stocks. I want to highlight just the stocks that have buy recommendations. But before I do that, once we look at the individual stocks, they are sorted by our master indicator VST, so that the stocks that have the best combination of relative value, relative safety, and relative timing will automatically migrate to the top of the list. But if I'm looking at stocks that are in the fastest rising industries within the fastest rising sectors, why not concentrate on the ones that are buy recommendations? I'm going to use the Control key on my keyboard and left click on only the buy recommendations. Now that they're highlighted, I'll right click. I'll view the stock graph. Wow, I'm looking at a 3-month graph. I personally like to look at a quarter on a stock because what happens every quarter? Earnings. And I want earnings picture to be there, especially if I'm looking at what I want to buy now. This is a simple graph where we're looking at a 40-day moving average, relative timing, and volume. Now, I look at TMST, not a ton of volume, but the stock's price is clearly above the 40-day moving average. Earnings looks like it's about to come out on the stock today. We'll see what happens with that. But I'd like to also make sure I'm buying on a rising day. Not only do I want to be in a rising sector or a rising industry, when I buy the stock, I'd rather go buy it when it's rising. This is a good cherry picking methodology. Let's go to the next one. GSM. Below, currently above the 40-day moving average, bottom left, top right, a little bit more volatile in its move, but currently on an open day. Would like to see if the stock can take out that high. I like the industry, I like the sector. I want the stock to be doing what I want it to do, which is to go up in price. Let's go to the next one. I don't like the volume in here nearly as much. So as I mentioned, I want to reiterate, this is a good cherry picking methodology to drill down from the top sector to the top industry and then cherry pick the buy recommended stocks, but look at their graphs first. All right, so that's the first step, which is the drill down methodology, starting from the sector to the industry to the stock. Now, let's take this a step further. Let's build on this. Let's go to the industry viewer. Now, I like the industry viewer because now we're moving from 41 sectors to be analyzed to 222 industries to be analyzed. I think this gives me more diversification to find out what industries within the sectors that are moving. Notice that these are sorted by our RT ranking. And if I didn't mention, RT ranking is normally all the way at the end of the deal here, at the viewers. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you a little bit of navigation. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go back to layout. And I'm going to set the layout back to the defaults. I want to show you how to move that RT ranking over. I've done it because I normally do that, but if you're going to start doing some of this analysis, let me help you to set up your viewers. Now, if I scroll all the way over to the right, there's where you will normally find RT ranking. Let me show you an easy way to move that over for you. I'm going to right click on the top stock. I'm going to go down to layout, and on this layout, I have my columns in the grid. These are the things that are shown on my viewer. I'm going to highlight RT ranking, which is all the way back here, and I'm going to hit the up arrow, and I'm going to move RT ranking right next to the industry price. Right there, boom, price, RT ranking, click on OK. Now it's going to reset, and now I have that RT ranking right next to price. So when I'm looking at industries, again, sorted by RT ranking will go all the way from number 1 to number 222. So that's important. I like watching it this way. It makes it a lot easier to do this analysis. Now, we're looking at the industry viewer, the top industry viewer, or top industries, building wood products. Let's right click. Let's go view the stocks in the industry group. Let's see how many stocks are in here. There's 5 stocks. Notice that 4 of these are buy recommendations. Let's highlight them. All the buys, right click. Now remember, because these are looking at stocks, they're sorted by our master indicator, VST. Let's go view the stock graph. Woo, LPX has been on the rise. Well, now you know why. It's in a hot industry, which is in a hot sector. Bottom left, top right, beautiful. 40-day moving average, above the 40-day moving average. We have RT here telling us the stock is definitely in an uptrend. Look at the volume as well. Nice up day. Today could be a good day to buy. You want to make sure from a cherry picking standpoint that you're buying only on an up day. Look at that. UFPI looks beautiful. Down day today. Maybe you wait before you buy. But from a cherry pick perspective, I like the way that looks. Looking at WFC, this is a little bit more, it's WFG actually. This stock is a little bit more volatile. If a volatile stock is not what you're looking for, this is why the cherry picking methodology works out well. And today is a down day. Let's go. Ooh, HDIUF. I don't like the volume. Again, it's in a hot industry. If the birds of the same feather are flocking together, it will drive up even stocks like this that don't have a lot of volume higher. Bottom left, top right, but I would rather be in a stock that does have some good volume. Cherry picking is a good way to find the stocks that are right for you. All right, so that was looking at an industry. All right. And again, I like doing the industry analysis because there's a lot more of them to go through. Now, notice like an industry like media periodicals wasn't in the top sector and it wasn't in the top industries overall. It is in the top industries by number 3, but it didn't show up in the top sectors. Thus, another reason why I like looking at industries over sectors. Let's go to media periodicals. It's the number 3 industry. Right click. View the stocks in the industry group. Let's see what's in there. All the stocks, there's 3 stocks. All of the stocks are by recommendations. So let's highlight them all. Oops, highlight them all. Right click, view the stock graph. Bottom left, top right, a little bit more volatile. Would like to see if the stock can take out that high. All right, next one, Relics was moving up. Really gapped down, bouncing back off. Notice that as it gapped down and moved down, it never fell below the 40-day moving average. Could have kept you in it. Still rising. I'd like to see it take out that high. Look at that one. Hitting a new high. Look at the resurgence of RT. Volume is there. Nice open candle. Bottom left, top right. Cherry picking still is the methodology that I would have you choose to make sure you're buying into the stocks that are doing exactly what you want them to do. How cool is that? Let's get back into the software. So now we've looked at the drill down method, sectors, down to industries, down to stocks. We looked at industries because, again, they track a lot more. And now let's add on this. So these are the high flyers. These are the top sectors and the top industries sorted by RT. Let's go to the Unisearch tool. Now let me talk to you about the movers and the shakers. We're going to do a delta search on industries. That's in the Unisearch tool. All right, delta searches on industries. Delta means percentage change. As I open this up, there's a lot of different deltas that are here over different time periods. Whether you're looking at the last 2 weeks of trading or the last quarter of trading, or if you're a day trader, the last 1 day or last 5 days of change in deltas or change in price of an industry. That is some powerful information to help you to make good decisions. Now, everybody, if you have a tool that shows you any industry information, everybody can do a 10-day price delta on an industries. But I'm going to run it real quick. As of, again, yesterday's close, I like the idea of for people to know that they can do this without having real-time data, that you can do it on an end-of-day basis as well. Now, over the last 10 days by price, steel is up there. Petroleum is on the rise. If you've watched me on Trending Thursday on YouTube, we've been talking about our oil, mining, uranium, building, petroleum, transportation. These are the industries that have moved up the most by price over the last 10 days. This is sorted by 10-day price delta, so the stocks that have been moving up the most by way of industries, or the industries moving up the most, look at that. Steel basic, almost 15% over the last 10 days. Petroleum field services, over 11%. Mining uranium, over 11%. I would concentrate on the industries that are up double digits over the last 2 trading weeks. Not only that, not only are they moving, but you can see where they stand as far as RT ranking. You know what I like about the petroleum one? Remember, we've got 222 industries, it's up 11% and moving from 222 up to 157. Or mining uranium up over 11%, up to 113. Or transportation air freight up double digits, but at number 131. This is a good way to see what's moving and shaking and getting in early on these industries. So we already know that steel basic has been a hot industry. Let's go look at petroleum field services. Let's right click. Let's view the stocks in that industry group. Woo, we got 45 stocks. I want to concentrate on the ones that are by recommendations. Even though these are sorted by our master indicator VST, let's go look at the ones that are by recommendations. Now notice that this industry is coming off of that 222 and moving higher. Some of these fundamentals may not be there. These could be early opportunities, right? Let's right click, view the stock graph. Now let's go see. Wow, FTSI, bottom left, top right, moving higher above the 40-day moving average. RT is moving higher. I would, again, make sure I buy on an up day like this one. Now, this one is interesting, right? This stock has been, petroleum has been beaten up, but now petroleum is on the rise. How cool is it that we're now finding the stock recently went above the 40-day moving average, now has a buy recommendation, volume is rising. Whoo! You're getting in earlier before it becomes a hot top high flying industry. Let's go to the next one. Wow, look at OMP, bottom left, top right, new high, RT rising. Whew, man, oh man. Now this one, this is why I still reiterate cherry picking. A lot more volatile, big gap down, still above the 40-day moving average, but as we've seen, there's other stocks that may be better picks, like PBFX. Clearly above the 40-day moving average, moving higher today, RT above 1. Man, oh man. Folks, it doesn't get any easier than this, does it? NOAA, a little bit more volatile. And again, if volatility is not your thing, then you look at a stock like PBFX, or you look at a stock like OMP, or like, so now there's a couple of stocks in there that I like from a cherry picking standpoint. I hone in on those stocks. All right, so now that we've done a delta, we can do a different delta by not only on price, but we can do a 10-day RT delta. So now the stocks that have been moving up the fastest by relative timing. You can't do this anyplace else but in the VectorVest software. It's one thing to simply look at price, but that indicator, that proprietary indicator RT now comes into play. Which industries are moving up by way of relative timing, the short-term price trend of the industry. Look at this. Petroleum, 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 petroleum. Hey, there's a common theme here. Petroleum is on the rise. So which one, look at these RT rankings. Remember the birds of a feather? Look at these industries, 130, 150, 149. As they're getting off of from that bottom of 221, they're rising together. How cool is that? Well, let's look at the industry that went up the most. Petroleum International Specialty up 27% by RT over the last 2 weeks. Right click. Let's view the stocks in that industry group. How many stocks are there? 4. Whoa. So this industry is rising. None of the stocks are buys yet, right? Let's highlight them. Let's highlight just the holds. Right click, view the stock graph. Now the fundamentals are not there yet, right? These are industries or stocks within industries that are really flocking together and rising. We've just started tracking that stock. Let's go to the next one. I like PSX. Recently went above the 40-day moving average. Be careful with volume. I like volume as conviction. I'd rather see the stock price rising up with volume. Remember, these are not the high-flying industries, so these stocks are starting to pull the industry higher, and look at the price move of this stock. I like that. I've got a level of resistance sitting at the high of about $90.59. I'm going to use that as a price target. Make sure that I buy on a rising day. Next one, I'm not feeling the volume on that as much, so I found one stock from a cherry pick perspective. But remember, none of these stocks are buys yet. You're getting in early. All right, let's bring back over the software. So I can do that on 10 days, on 13 days, over the last 52 weeks, depending on how you want to invest in the market. If you're longer term, look at the 52-week price delta. If you're a swing trader, look at that 13-week price or RT delta. And you know something, if I'm a shorter term trader, I'd look at the 1-day price delta or a 5-day RT delta. But there's a lot of different deltas that can be used depending on how you invest in the market. So let's build on this even more. I'm going to look at the power of the fastest moving industries. I'm going to scroll down. I created a folder right here called SOTW. For all of you out there, before you call in on Monday to our product support staff, you will not have this folder in your 7. I created it for the purposes of this presentation. You will not have it. I created it so I can create a simple search. This is called Industry Delta Search, Birds of a Feather. So I took this a step further. I have the stock industry group equal to, and I'm going to click under value. Under value, I went to top delta industries. Now, if you're a real-time person, how about you can do an RT or price delta by minutes? 10, 30 minutes, 10, 30 minutes, highest 10 by RT or price delta over the last 10 or 30 minutes. But if you're an end of day or swing trader, how about the top 10 by 5-day or top 10 by 10-day price delta or top 10 by 5-day? We've got a lot of different combinations here for you. I selected the highest 10 industries by 10-day RT delta. I'm going to use the VectorVest cooking. RT, short-term price trend. I want to see the highest 10 industries by 10-day RT delta. Stock price greater than 5, average volume greater than 250,000, and the stocks will be sorted by VST. I run the search as of yesterday's close. Here's the stocks that it finds. Look at that. So if I scroll over, how about a lot of them in the same industries? Because these industries are rock and rolling. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Let's go find, look at these. All of these are buy recommendations. Let's highlight the top few. Right click, view the stock graph, bottom left, top right. I wouldn't buy it today because I got a big selling pressure, a big wick at the top, a little bit of a shooting star pattern, but it meets the criteria. But I like HCA, bottom left, top right, nice open candle. Look at that rising volume above the 40-day moving average. This one, I like the equity curve. May not be the right time with the stock's price moving down. Again, the cherry picking methodology really falls into place here so that you can find which ones. And you know something, as you go through this list, you can find a good handful of stocks to get into. All right, so now let's build on it a little more. Let's test this ideology, especially because I want to make sure from the perspective of, well, Glenn has given me this data. That's great. And I can cherry pick the stocks. That's great. But does it really work? So let's go to the RoboTrader. Actually, let's go to the Backtester. In the Backtester, I created 2 backtests. I'm going to walk you through how to set up a backtest for this. All right. We're going to click on New. And I'm going to build a custom trading system. All right. A good way to utilize this is by way of the DEW timing signal. It's a good middle of the road timing signal. So I'm going to use market timing, but I'm going to change from confirm calls to the DEW. It's going to know when it gets a DEW call what to do and what not to do. Okay. On the automation rules up. Now I created a search that looks at the top 10 industries over the last 5 or 10 days, right? I created that industry delta search. So I created that. I'm going to use that search. All right. I'm going to use that search. All right. And now let's do stop criteria. Well, everybody's got Profit Locker. I'm not going to use Profit Locker Pro. I'm going to use Profit Locker. And I'm going to use, if these are rising industries, let's give them up to 50% winners, 50% target and a 15% loss. If these are rising stocks and rising industries within rising sectors, if the stock goes against you 15%, it's not It's its own bird. It ain't flocking together. And you know something? That could become an albatross. Let's get rid of that bird. All right. So that's my stop criteria. Under more settings, I want to manage a watch list or a portfolio of 10 stocks automatically replacing. I'm going to leave all of the defaults here the way that they are. All right. So, and on the down, we're going to go to cash. All right. So now we could have done this by looking at the worst industries to short. But in this case, for this presentation, we're going to just go to cash. All right. I've already created it. I wanted to show you how I set it up. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to cancel this. So, you know something? When you're buying into rising industries just blindly, you saw on that list when we looked at that search, a lot of stocks were in the same industry. So I say to myself, do I want to do that? I wanted to test it, sort of kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket. If the industry is hot, let's rock and roll with it. So I did a birds of a feather using the DEW. It automatically showed me over the last year. So it gives me a little bit more data than just looking at the most recent DEW down call. DEW up call. I'm going to highlight it. Here's the equity curve of looking at just buying the stocks, no matter how many stocks were in that industry, just utilizing the system, the power of the system to go rock and roll. The search went up 75% over the last year, utilizing the DEW with the profit locker 50-15. 75%, 53% of the stocks were winners, a max drawdown of 12.46%, annualized out to 75%. That's not half bad. But many of you would say, well, wait a minute, I need more diversification. So I want to show you what else I did. I did one with 2 per industry. I'm going to edit this, and I want to show you the change that I made. I remember the other one was just using all of the defaults. Well, I'm still using the DEW, still using the same search, I'm still using the same stop. But under more settings, I used a maximum stocks per industry of 2 stocks per industry. That gives me a little bit more diversification. All right. So in that, I made 52% a year, 52%. So I'm down about 20% or so. But still annualize out to 52% a year, a little bit more of a max drawdown, 51% winners. I like the idea of doing 2 per industry, but you know what the data shows me? Let the system work. Let the VectorVest software provide you with the useful information and just let it do its job. But I understand the common sense behind I don't want to be overweighted in one industry, even though I'm looking at the fastest industries. So I wanted to bring to the forefront the differences between the two. Well, you know something? I like letting VectorVest do what it needs to do. It's been around over 30 years, folks. It knows what it's doing. It knows what industries and sectors are rising, and it puts those stocks into your hands. Look at that. It makes a difference. But 52% annualized, you're looking at 2 per industry, ain't half bad, folks, at all. All right. So with that, folks, I want to say thank you for joining me for this evening's presentation. I just want to show you what you got out of this. 1, looking at sectors, drilling down the top sector to the top industry to the best stocks. We also did sector and industry analysis, looking at the sectors and the industries to help us fine-tune what we were looking for. Personally, I like the industry analysis. It gives me more industries. We talked about delta, the percentage change, whether it's on RT or on price. RT is only what you get here in the VectorVest software. That is some good VectorVest cooking for you right there. But utilizing that analysis and then going through the graphs, cherry picking. I love the idea of cherry picking. Make sure the graphs fit what you're looking to do. And then the testing of it, to put the rubber meets the road, to put just to put what we needed to put behind it to prove that you can utilize this analysis to make money. With that, folks, I want to say thank you very much for joining me for this presentation. I hope you take from it what you need, incorporate it into your plan. It's a great way to make money from a simplistic standpoint. So until the next time, folks, have a wonderful evening.
VectorVest.